There is no end in sight, but the end will come when the markets collapse and we believe that there's going to be a global financial crisis, a crack up in 2011 that people will no longer be able to deny, and the world banks will no longer be able to cover up by printing more of their digital money that's not worth the paper it's not printed on.
Well, Gerald, we know that the mega central banks have wanted to consolidate power, but now they're getting desperate. They realize they've destroyed things so bad, they're finally actually trying to cut taxes, but it looks like too little too late. But here's the model. Here is the Ireland banks are all for sale. Central banker, this is out of CNBC, and he went on to say, they are for sale as far as I'm concerned. I've always been an advocate for foreign banks to own small countries. And he goes on here, this is their central banker. They told him a year ago they had the best economy in Europe. They set him up, they brought him in, and I've seen it in the German news. The Germans are saying they're getting ready to leave the euro if this continues, and I've seen the financial breakdowns. This is mathematically impossible to pay back, and the system knows that, so they're just trying to suck as much as they can while telling everybody that everything's fine.
Exactly. And by the way, that's where this whole WikiLeaks thing comes in. I don't know if you saw the video of me on Fox about a week and a half ago when the WikiLeaks story broke, and how they set me up. They had 4 against me. And
Stay there. Tell us about it when we get back. I didn't see it. I mean, you're on so much television, I miss a lot of it, but I did see it linked on our site, but I didn't have a chance to watch it. Tell us about that. We'll get into this congressman saying the Congress is there to serve the banks. You can't make this up. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Gerald Celente. All right, let's go right back to Gerald Celente. Gerald, I'm going to dig it out of my stack. It's a raw story with the video, with the quote of the congressman saying, hey, Congress is here for the bankers. I guess oxygen is here for them. They are trying to pass the carbon tax to taxes on carbon dioxide, and J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs literally are the main funders. So I guess the air is theirs because they waddle around and tell us what to do. But as you said, everybody's starting to wake up to them. But what about when you look at Ireland, cutting the benefits that are paid for, raising the taxes, admitting everything goes to the bankers? What is this hubris, this arrogance? Why are they so, like Marie Antoinette saying, let them eat cake? I mean, is there a method to their madness?
No, they're out of touch, and they should be. They live lives that are far, more protected than us. Every time they arrive anywhere, they roll out the red carpet. It's one big, circle jerk. Everybody makes everybody feel so great and important. Look, again, with these WikiLeaks, look what they do. They show us these photo ops, all the glad handing, all the big smiles, and you find out they're nothing but a bunch of crooks, thieves, criminals, buffoons, suck-ups, and bow-downs, and they call it the world leaders. Look at Berlusconi. The world stage is one big burlesque coney. So they are totally out of touch. As I said, their attitude is you go to work, you bring home the money, I'll tell you what to do with it. I'm smarter than you, I'm privileged, and I walk on red carpets. So of course they're out of touch. Look, Alex, what happened in England, as we're seeing the same thing now happening where they're promoting, the next royal wedding, as they're making it impossible for kids to go to college. It's not even let them eat cake. It's let them eat nothing. They could care less. They're better than we are. There's a photo that we have in the Trends Journal of Hillary Clinton looking, yeah, it's the White Shoe Club. So they're totally detached. And so when it happened, and the police, unfortunately, are becoming, enforcers for the crime bosses. They beat up the people. The orders are, don't touch the top criminals. Have you seen anybody go to jail from any of the big banks, the Lehman Brothers, the Merrill Lynch mob, the Goldman Sachs
No, they've
gang.
been burning little bitty, low-level guys in million-dollar deals, trillion-dollar swindles, and they just roll the red carpet out, and Congress just grovels when they see Greenspan. They just fall to their knees and go, "My Lord, my King, rape me."
So the cops have you don't touch the big guys. They got the orders. And they can't beat the crime guys on the street, you know, the Bloods and the Crips and the rest of them, which is a growing organization. That's an industry that's thriving.
They can't beat the Mexican mafia, crimes exploding, but they can they can. You know, I've seen old ladies pulled over in Austin with cops walking up with their hands on their guns, with two old women in a convertible, Seabreeze car or whatever. But then when they see real criminals, they just seem to grovel in fear.
So that's what's happened. The cops have become the crime bosses, the enforcers for the crime bosses. By the way, crime, that's going to be one of the Crime Wave 2011. This thing's starting to break loose, and as you pointed out, they're cooking the numbers. What a surprise. They cook the inflation numbers. They cook the unemployment numbers. They cook the numbers about how many people we've killed they've killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. And they're lying about the crime numbers. It's going to get much worse, and it's worldwide. And criminal activity, by the way, is accepted. If you see it on Wall Street, why not and everybody else? So it's gaming the welfare system, gaming the system to become disabled, or ripping off the system from the top. So as people start losing more and more, crime is going to go higher and higher. I don't care what these academics and these crime experts say, that there's no relevant evidence.
Well, Gerald, I mean, half the places I go to, businesses are now being robbed, even in nice areas of town. Cars are getting smashed into, homes are getting robbed. But then I read in the news, they say, oh, crime's not up in Austin, and unemployment's not up. Everything is wonderful. Sit down and shut up. I want to come back, get into more trends this year, and get into this Alabama Republican. Spencer Bacchus says, we are here to serve the banks. That's a quote, period. I want to get into a host of issues with Gerald Celente before he leaves us here at the end of the hour. Maybe we'll twist his arm to come on the last show of the year, not this next week, but the week after, with his predictions in rapid succession for 2011, but I'm going to get some of those from him here in a moment. But here it is. Regulators exist to serve the banks, next House Finance Chairman declares. So that's the guy above the committee that Paul runs. Paul is able to subpoena and get dirt on the Fed, but the big committee above him says, we are here to serve them. Listen to this. Alabama Republican Spencer Bacchus, the incoming chairman of the House Banking Committee, suggests Congress and federal regulators should play a subservient role with banks. Remember a year ago, Greenspan, on the former chairman of the Fed, on PBS saying we're outside government, we run the government, no one can regulate us. I mean, this is just made up pure arrogance. No wonder we're being completely robbed by these people. It's in the Constitution. It's we the people, and the Congress controls that. Just because some monkey tells us in a fancy suit that he rules us, or because some monkey government tells us men in uniforms are going to stick their hands down our pants, doesn't mean they can do it. Here's the quote from Spencer Bacchus. In Washington, the view is that banks are to be regulated, and my view is that Washington and the regulators are there to serve the banks. Well, yeah, most of them are former Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan people. You know, foxes guarding the henhouse. Bacchus told the Birmingham News in an interview. And it goes on. I mean, totally disconnected. Okay, well, Congress isn't involved with the banks or doesn't have any power over them, then we shouldn't have to pay them all this bailout money. Gerald Celente.
Well, I think the congressman is expressing his feelings about the type of person he is, and the rest of most of Congress, with the exception of Ron Paul and a few others. They're suck-ups and bow-downs. I tell you, Alex, the worst job I ever had was when I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate. And I watched grown men grovel all day long. And I had lousy jobs in my day. Well, that was the worst when I was a young man out of graduate school. So this is who they are. They're used to bending over and sucking up, so they feel we should too. And I'm sick and tired of them telling me what I should believe, what I should think, and what I should do. But the fact is, go back to our 2008 trend alert when they came out with the TARP scheme. The headline read, D.C. heist, Wall Street hijacks Washington. History was made. It happened right before our eyes. You talked about Rubin, you talked about Geithner, you talk about Gensler, you talk about the rest of the Goldman Sachs gang. Remember Henry Paulson. Frankenstein couldn't have had a better mask than that guy.
Well,
and
you broke it all.
From?
You broke it all down in Obama Deception and Fall of the Republic. In both of my films, all of it is now unfolded. And if they can steal 20-something trillion, why not steal 1,000 trillion? Why not go completely crazy? Now, earlier, you tried to get into WikiLeaks, and then we went to break, and I forgot to bring it back up. Talk about what happened to you on Fox.
Well, they brought me on, and it's like 5 against 1. It's in the media blog on our in the trendsjournal.com. And they had a CIA guy, you know, with that look, you know, blonde, handsome guy. You know, get used to it. Get used to the crime and the corruption. That's the real world. What I was saying is this isn't about who leaked what and how. They're upset because it's uncovering what a bunch of losers they are.
The sadists to prison as scapegoats once they get caught. Then Bush comes out twice this year and says he ordered torture, he'd do it again, but he's not in prison. So he's like the Gambino crime boss. And meanwhile, his soldiers have been caught carrying out criminal operations. They go to prison, and the crime boss comes out on TV and says, I ordered it, and he doesn't get in trouble. I mean, this is so brazen.
Well, that's what's going on. As I said, the police have become the enforcers for the crime bosses. They're above everybody else. I watched Bush give some of those interviews. You know, he's from royalty. Oh, the great Bush family. Hey, what was that? The great-grandfather, the grandfather's name, Prescott Bush?
Yeah, top Nazi.
Wasn't he doing deals with the Nazis?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, come on with this stuff. Harvard, Princeton, Yale, bullets, bombs, and banks. I've said it, and that's what it is. They're robbing us. This is the greatest bank robbery in world history, and the banks are doing the robbing. And when we were talking about the crime wave, by the way, look at the security business. It's booming. You call up and try to get alarms installed, you're going to get on a waiting list. And it's going to get a lot worse. If people want to see the businesses to get into, boy, anything having to do with crime-related security is going to be a growth industry.
Well, look at firearms, record sales in modern history for 2 years in running, and you look at the graphs, it's only going up parabolic. Now, I want to shift gears into some other areas, and I can't say this on air. We never used to talk about things like this, but it's always in the news. We're forced to. This is up on prisonplanet.com, KOB, CBS TV's reporting it. It's up on prisonplanet.com. These reports have been confirmed. They make fun of other TSA workers' genitals, female workers. They're hiring a bunch of lunatics because only a mentally ill person could put people in radiation bathers, stick their hands down people's pants. They're creating an army who will follow any order to then take over the streets. But here's the prisonplanet.com Steve Watson article. Just went up at prisonplanet.com. Boy asked TSA, why pat down my mom and not me? TSA replies, and they have witnesses, because you don't have B-word. And I've seen this, where they see a good-looking woman, it is over. These are men that could never get a woman, many of them. Some of them are just guys that want jobs. And they've been caught being child molesters, planting drugs on women, demanding sex. I mean, these are the worst type of power-tripping, low-grade morons. What is your take on the whole TSA situation, Gerald Celente?